Okay, so now here we are. Let's do the quotation slides part two. Okay, so drop quotation. So a drop quotation has no signal phrase. So here's an example of a quotation that doesn't have a signal phrase. Laws designed to prevent chronic disease by promoting healthier food and beverages and beverage consumption also have a potentially enormous effect. I'm sorry, let me start over. Laws designed to prevent chronic disease by promoting healthier food and beverage consumption also have a potentially enormous benefit. Period. Open quotation. Bracket. A, close bracket, 1% reduction in intake of saturated fat across the population would prevent more than 30,000 cases of coronary heart disease annually and save more than $1 billion in healthcare costs. Close quotation, open parentheses, Nestle, 7, close parentheses, period. So now we can see there is no signal phrase. And if we look on the other side of the page, there's a signal phrase, put in. Okay, so the words in black are the signal phrase for the quotation, which are the words in red. Marion Nelson, New York University professor of nutrition and public health, notes that, open quotation, a 1% reduction in intake of saturated fat across the population would prevent more than 30,000 cases of coronary heart disease annually and save more than $1 billion in healthcare costs. Close quotation, open parentheses, 7, close parentheses, period. Okay, so because we mentioned the author in the signal phrase, we don't have to put the author's last name in the parenthetical citation. So here, let's close it a little, make it smaller a little bit. So here we have the author's last name, and here we don't. Why don't we have the author's last name here? Because we mentioned the author in the signal phrase. Okay, so there are more examples. Authors named in signal phrase. According to Lauren Goodwin. Okay, that one I want you to use less. I don't want so much according to. I want you to really practice with putting the background in. Okay, author's name in parentheses. Nagard Anesthesia. 373, right? So for more variations, go to page 385 to 392 in your writer's reference, okay? So there are going to be variations, and there are going to be things that you're like, oh, well, how do I do it like this? Or how do I do it if it's an unknown author? 385 to 392, okay? Your writer's reference. Okay, let's go forward. Was that it? And I stopped it there. This is part two. Part two. I could have gone on. For some reason, I thought the PowerPoint was going to be longer. Well, let's stop this for a second, and I want to talk about this again. This quotation worksheet. Okay. So again, we're dealing with quotations. So here is a signal phrase. Remember, a quotation needs 4 things: a signal phrase, the quoted material and quotation marks, a parenthetical citation, and the unpacking. And here are all the 4 things right here. Here's a signal phrase. The Dalai Lama and Howard C. Cutler, in their book, The Art of Happiness, believe it is necessary to. Okay, here's the quotation or the text I like. Identify and cultivate positive mental states. Identify and eliminate negative mental states. 41. Here is the unpacking or the why I like it. This comes right out of your journal. If you do your journal, okay, and you really put the effort in, right? Remember, growth mindset. We understand that in order to change and in order to grow our minds, our abilities, we have to put effort in, okay? So that's a given. We put effort in. And maybe when we put effort in, we might fail, or we might not do so good the first time, but we learn from those mistakes. Okay, but if we don't attempt, and if we don't try, And if we don't put the effort in, then you don't know what it is that you need to learn or where you need to expand because you haven't tried. So try, okay? It might not be perfect the first time. And remember, we're not going for any kind of perfection because there's no such thing as perfection. There is only practice, okay? We try to be perfect, we're going to drive ourselves crazy because that's the voice of the oppressor. Anne Lamott tells us that in her book, Bird by Bird, okay? So here is the unpacking. Now, I think at the bottom here, I put this quotation together. So now that was the quotation broken up. Here is the signal phrase. The signal phrase. Here is the quotation enclosed in quotation marks. Here is the quotation enclosed in quotation marks. Here is the parenthetical citation. Right? And here's the unpacking or the why I like it that comes right out of the journal, right out of the journal. So here are the 4 things that a quotation needs, right? So I just saw this broken up into bits, my bad. I broke it up into bits, signal phrase, the quotation, the quoted material, the text I like, the unpacking, right? Or the why I like it, okay? So these are the parts of a quotation, okay? And this is part of writing a college level paper because college level papers, right? Your instructors are going to expect you to support your claims with the works of others. Why? Because human beings, right? We're social creatures and we do not develop ourselves in a vacuum. We need others to have contact with. We need others to help develop our ideas. We need others to help us support our ideas. Okay, so it's very important that you include the works of others into your papers. And this is how you do. Okay, use your journal. And this is all right out of the journal, right out of the journal. Okay, so I'm going to stop this. Stop the share. I'm going to stop the video. And I'm calling this quotations part 2, just for you. Oh, what? Just me?